You know, inside every single one of us is this incredibly intricate biological engine, a complex web of systems all working together in perfect, silent harmony. Today, through some pretty amazing visualization, we're going to journey deep inside the human body to get a better look at one of its most important and honestly most overlooked organs, the liver.
38%. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's the staggering percentage of adults, worldwide, who are currently living with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We're talking more than 1 out of every 3 people. And here's the really concerning part. The vast majority of them have absolutely no idea.
You see, this condition is tricky. It doesn't usually announce itself with some sharp, sudden pain. Instead, it sends these really subtle signals. A fatigue you just can't shake no matter how much you sleep. A frustrating inability to lose weight. Digestion that just feels off. Or maybe you're sleeping, but you never actually wake up feeling restored. It's so easy to dismiss these things as just normal signs of aging, but they can be the quiet whispers of a liver that's really struggling.
So if we want to figure out how to support the liver, we first have to understand what's actually driving the problem in the first place. And it's not just one single thing. It's really a combination of 3 interconnected root causes that kind of build on each other over time. Let's dive into the first one right now.
Okay, the main driver here is something called insulin resistance. The easiest way to think about it is to picture your liver as the body's emergency overflow system. When your cells start to ignore insulin's signal to take in sugar from your blood, well, that extra sugar has to go somewhere, right? So your liver steps up and does its job, converting it into fat for storage. But over time, that leads to a slow, damaging buildup. Second on the list is what's called impaired bile flow. Now, bile does more than just help you digest fat. It's the liver's main highway for getting rid of metabolic waste. So what happens when that highway slows to a crawl? Well, those waste products don't get eliminated. Instead, they get reabsorbed, and your poor liver has to process them all over again. You can see how this creates a nasty cycle of chronic low-level inflammation. And that brings us to the third root cause, oxidative stress. Here's the deal. Everything your liver processes creates these tiny, damaging byproducts called free radicals. Now, your liver has a built-in defense system to neutralize this damage, but if the burden gets too heavy for too long, its defenses just can't keep up. This constant cellular damage just wears the liver down and weakens its ability to repair itself.
So here's the crucial point. We're dealing with biological problems, which means we need biological solutions. The great thing is, the research doesn't point to some vague, complicated diet. It actually points to specific foods that contain compounds proven to directly target these 3 root causes.
First on our list is broccoli and all of its cruciferous relatives. Think cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale. These guys are packed with a compound called sulforaphane. Think of it as a master switch that activates your liver's own powerful detoxification enzymes, helping it fight back directly against oxidative stress. Next up, we've got garlic. And this isn't just some old wives' tale. A 2020 randomized controlled trial, a really high-quality study, found that patients taking garlic powder had significantly less fat in their liver. They could literally see the difference on an ultrasound. The active compound, allicin, seems to have a direct, measurable effect on reducing that fat buildup.
Now, this next one usually surprises people. Black coffee. It might not be the first thing you think of for health, but its protective effects on the liver are incredibly well documented in clinical research. And this really drives the point home. A huge meta-analysis in 2021, which looked at data from over 71,000 people, found a significantly reduced risk of something called fibrosis. Fibrosis is the start of scar tissue forming in the liver. It's a serious progression of the disease. So preventing it is absolutely critical.
Fourth, let's talk about green tea, and specifically its main antioxidant, a compound called EGCG. Clinical trials have shown that EGCG can lead to major reductions in key liver enzyme markers. These markers are like the alarm bells that signal when the liver is under stress and inflammation.
Walnuts are pretty special. They are, by far, the most researched nut when it comes to liver health. And that's mostly because they're a fantastic source of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids and polyphenols. Time and again, studies have linked eating them to better liver enzyme levels.
All right, let's talk about beets. They contain 2 really powerful compounds. First are betalains. That's what gives them that beautiful deep red color, and they have great anti-inflammatory effects. The other is betaine, and betaine directly supports bile production and flow, which, if you remember, targets that second root cause of impaired waste removal.
And finally, number 7, high-quality extra virgin olive oil. Its real power comes from its high concentration of polyphenols.
These have been shown not only to reduce inflammation, but also, and this is key, to improve how your body's cells respond to insulin. It directly addresses that very first root cause we talked about.
Look, understanding this science is the first essential step. But the next step is turning that knowledge into a consistent practice. And the key isn't some radical overnight overhaul of your entire life. It's about a gradual, sustainable plan to bring these powerful foods into your routine.
So here's a really practical way to do it. For week 1, just focus on 3 simple things. Have your coffee every day, eat broccoli twice, and snack on a handful of walnuts. That's it. Then in week 2, you can layer in some green tea and add beets to a couple of meals. From week 3 onward, the goal is just to build a simple routine that includes all 7 foods regularly, without getting overwhelmed. Remember, consistency beats short-term perfection every time.
And if you want to really boost the effects of this whole protocol, you can add 3 simple habits. First, a quick 10-minute walk after your biggest meal of the day. This is huge for blunting the blood sugar spikes that lead to insulin resistance. Second, try to create a consistent eating window. Giving your liver a 12 to 14-hour break from processing food gives it a much-needed metabolic rest. And finally, and this is so important, stay hydrated. It's simply non-negotiable for all of the liver's essential functions.
Now, this is maybe the most powerful part of this entire story. Your liver has this remarkable, almost unique ability to regenerate. Liver cells are some of the very few in the entire body that can actually repair and replace themselves once you ease up on the things causing them chronic stress. This isn't just some hopeful idea or a sales pitch, it's just fundamental biology.
So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. What if that constant fatigue, that feeling that you've just hit a ceiling on your energy and your vitality, what if it isn't an inevitable part of getting older? What if it's simply a biological system, your liver, that's just waiting for you to give it the right inputs to finally function at its best?